I'm very happy to be here, very honored. I think that this is a very important opportunity for all of us. I think this is so important that we all have taken time of our busy schedules just to be here because it's a really, really important issue. I think it's important not only to God, to our country, but I will say even the world. I am very excited to be here because for the first time I might say some things that I was afraid to say in the past about the condition of Puerto Rico and the situation that our island is experiencing for the past hundred years. It's very interesting. But let me just share a little bit of my history. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and at 19 years old, I married my beautiful wife, Omaira. We moved to Orlando, Florida, to be the pastors of a Hispanic church. Honestly, we were very young, very mature. We didn't know nothing about the world. So our first experience of social tension and racism was really at the campus of our community college. We enrolled, and honestly, we couldn't understand the dynamic of what was happening between all the ethnic groups. We just saw everybody in their corners. I remember the awkward comments between every ethnic groups, and it made me really uncomfortable. I couldn't understand it. So I decided just to go to school, keep it to myself, and go back home and really not talk to anyone. It was very disturbing for me, being as a man of God, a man of faith, and trying to save the world, not being able to share with everyone because of the tension that I felt. I remember one day specifically, I left my classroom, and I saw everybody standing on the hallway, looking at the TV monitor. In complete silence. You can hear a pin drop. And I remember two words, not guilty. It was O.J. Simpson verdict. The African-American student just erupted in celebration and joy. The white kids, they just sat down and looked at their faces. And for me, it was a very uncomfortable moment just being there. I felt the tension. I can even say I felt fear. And again, I couldn't understand what was happening because I did not know the history of the United States. Gladly and thanks to God, a couple of months after that, I was enrolled in a class that changed my life. It was a class about U.S. government, and it was given by a gentleman called House. This man shared his stories with us. He was from Germany, and actually he showed us pictures that I was really impressed because he was at the right time where the first African-American girl was going to go to a white school. And I could see him in the picture. I could see him there at that moment. And the way that he explained the history of the United States and how the government worked for me was really impressive. And it changed completely my mind on the founding fathers and the things that have been happening in the United States for so long. And now I understood a little bit of the tension. But I would say that I faced discrimination more than ever in the past few years in my life. Just for one reason, I moved back to Puerto Rico. And Puerto Ricans that live in Puerto Rico are not equal. Plainly that life. If you move to Puerto Rico, you lose your voting rights. That's it. You lose many rights. In 1996, I voted for the President of the United States. At 2000, I voted for the President of the United States. But since 2004, because I live in Puerto Rico, I cannot vote for the President of the United States. I have no voice. I have no right. I just have to receive any federal law and have no influence, no voice, to do nothing to change and to influence the future of our country. It's very interesting because this has happened since 1898. And even the Supreme Court have many cases that have established what I believe is really a segregation. They established many years ago a doctrine that is called separate but equal. And that allowed an opportunity for that same court, Supreme Court, to establish that Cubans, Filipinos, and Puerto Ricans are savages and aliens that are not able to get the full citizen benefit of the United States. There are many things that have changed through the years, but there is a long way to go. The past 3 or 4 years, I have come to Washington many times because I was chosen by our governments. I have been an advisor of the past 3 governors of Puerto Rico. And I have come many times here as a humanitarian, just coming to share our problems from Puerto Rico. And I remember one day, someone that I will mention the name, here at his office, he told me something that that really upset me. He told me the only thing that Puerto Ricans come here to do is to beg for money. And I didn't say anything because I was surrounded by former governors of our island. But I was really, really embarrassed for that comment. And I left that meeting just thinking that maybe he has forgotten that our people have fought in every world war since World War I. We have shared our life for this country. And sadly, people don't understand all the things that this create in our country, in our Puerto Rico. It is very interesting, and it's very difficult to explain just in 3 minutes what all this create. Our politics is crazy. It will take me hours just to let you know, to explain that there are not really Democrats or Republicans in Puerto Rico. It's just a mix of thoughts and ideologies that it is created by our territory position right now. Let me tell you a couple of more things to close. I'm not here advocating for Puerto Rico to become a state. That's not the reason I'm doing this speech today, because it's not my position to do it. I am not here advocating for Puerto Rico to be independent or to stay as a territory, but I think that Congress must say something. Congress must let us know where we stand, definitely, because we cannot be in a territory limbo just to see what was going to happen at one time when we are not going to be able to decide. So I think that Congress must really act and say something so we can decide our future, the future of Puerto Ricans that live in Puerto Rico. The last 3 things that I would like to say: I am glad to be a U.S. citizen. I love this country. I think that United States is the biggest and the best country of the world. I have traveled Central and South America, and believe me, there is no place like this one. We are blessed to be here, but there are many, 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 many things that must change. Number 2, I believe that the same thing that happened to me when I took that class, I understood many things. I think that as pastors, we have to teach our people of the problems of every different race. We have to teach them how the system works. Not all Latinos are Mexican. Not all Latinos are Puerto Rican. Not all black are African American. There are blacks that are Puerto Ricans. There are whites that are Puerto Ricans. There are browns that are Puerto Ricans. It is very complex, a very complex subject, but we must educate ourselves. The last thing, I think that we should pray for all of us to really have a Pentecost experience. Why do I say that? That day, the world changed. Why? Because the apostles received tongues that everybody understood. They preached, and the whole world was changed, because one moment, not only someone could speak, but everyone could understand what they were saying. I hope, I believe, and I pray that this talk will be that moment that every race, every ethnic group will understand what the real problem is and what is the real solution. Thank you for the opportunity. It is an honor to be here.